From a Zamboni driver who turned NHL hero to a game that seemed to defy the very concept of time, the world of hockey is filled with moments that stretch the boundaries of belief. We've seen jerseys misspelled, goals scored in the most bewildering circumstances, and games shrouded in fog and mystery. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are moments that will leave you questioning what's possible on the ice. First off was the Boston Garden, an arena as legendary as the players it hosted, and now it was set for another night of NHL action. But this wasn't just any game night. It was about to become a part of hockey folklore. Mid-game, the lights went out, plunging the arena into darkness. This wasn't a dramatic effect or a new game strategy. It was a good old-fashioned blackout in one of the most iconic sports venues. Players skated in confusion. Fans chattered in a mix of amusement and disbelief. And the commentators? Well, they had a field day with this unexpected twist. The Boston Garden, known for its characters, suddenly became famous for its creaky infrastructure.
And we have a power failure here. The lights are out here in the Boston Garden.
A blackout in Boston sets the stage. But wait until you hear about Gretzky's name game. Wayne Gretzky is known for his impeccable skills on the ice. But this time, it wasn't his stick handling that made headlines. It was his jersey, in a twist that no one saw coming, especially not the king of hockey himself. Gretzky's jersey was misspelled. You heard that right. The most famous name in hockey was spelled Gretkzy instead of Grtzky. Imagine the scene, fans squinting at their TVs, players doing double takes, and commentators trying to keep a straight face. It was a memorable day. Now let's stick around for a story that's less about misspelling and more about bending the rules. Quite literally. Marty McSorley's name might not be as synonymous with hockey as Gretzky's, but he sure made his mark in a way no one could have predicted. The scene? 1993 Stanley Cup Finals, a high-stakes game where every play, every move counts. McSorley, playing for the Los Angeles Kings, was known for his tough playing style, but this time, he got caught for something entirely different. An illegal stick. McSorley's stick was deemed too curved. The Montreal Canadiens called for a measurement. The referees pulled out their rulers, and the rest is history. The penalty led to a game-tying goal by the Canadiens, who eventually won the game and later the series. The stick saga has turned McSorley into an infamous character in NHL lore. It's a moment that's retold with a mix of disbelief and chuckles. Who knew a few extra millimeters of curve could tilt the fate of the Stanley Cup?
Montreal challenged the curve on Marty McSorley's stick.
Next up, get ready for a goal so controversial, it'll have you questioning the very reality of the game. You see, the Montreal Canadiens, a team steeped in hockey glory, found themselves at the center of one of the most bewildering moments in NHL history. Let me tell you, it was a regular game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but with an ending that left everyone scratching their heads. In a bizarre twist, the Canadiens scored a goal while everyone else thought play was dead. Confusion reigned supreme as players, referees, and fans tried to piece together what just happened. The puck had slipped into the net, but the play seemed to have stopped, or had it. The controversy sparked debates, and left a mark in the annals of hockey oddities. It's moments like these that remind us that in the fast-paced world of the NHL, expect the unexpected.
There was no whistle.
What happened there? I was fooled. Everybody was fooled. The Lightning thought this was a stopped play. It wasn't. Montreal kept playing, and they'd scored into an empty net.
But that's not as fascinating as a goaltender's gaffe that's more than just a simple slip-up. Patrick Roy, a name synonymous with goaltending greatness, found himself in a rather embarrassing spotlight during a playoff game. Known for his confidence and flair, Roy made what he thought was a game-saving catch, raising his glove for the iconic Statue of Liberty pose. But in a twist of slapstick comedy, the puck had other ideas. It slipped from his grasp, landing perfectly for the opposing team to swoop in and score. The crowd went from a stunned silence to an uproar of disbelief and laughter. This wasn't just a missed catch. It was a theatrical blunder on ice. Roy, usually the hero in these tales, became the unwitting jester. It's a moment replayed not just for its rarity, but for its sheer comedic timing. In the high-stakes world of the NHL playoffs, Roy's Statue of Liberty move went down in history as a reminder that sometimes, even the greats can have a moment of slapstick misfortune.
Behind the fence, to watch why he's got it. And then he drops it. And he thinks he's got it in his glove, and I'm not so sure.
And now, from a goaltending gaffe to an own goal that left everyone asking, did that just happen? Steve Smith, a name that became etched in NHL history for a reason he'd probably like to forget. On his 23rd birthday, during the 1986 Stanley Cup playoffs, Smith, playing for the Edmonton Oilers, scored an own goal that would haunt him for years. In an attempt to pass the puck from behind his own net, he hit his goalie Grant Furr and watched in horror as the puck deflected into his own net. This wasn't just any game, it was Game 7 against the Calgary Flames, and this blunder cost the Oilers the series. The arena, filled with a mixture of shock and disbelief, witnessed one of the most cringe-worthy moments in sports history. It's a scene that's replayed in NHL blooper reels, a stark reminder of how a single moment can flip the script. If you thought own goals were dramatic, wait till you see a game lost in the fog. The 1975 Stanley Cup Final between the Buffalo Sabres and the Philadelphia Flyers brought a new player onto the ice. A thick, soupy fog. Yes, you heard that right. The Buffalo Memorial Auditorium, affectionately known as the Odd, lacked air conditioning, leading to an unusual meteorological phenomenon. As the game progressed, a dense fog enveloped the ring, turning the game into a scene straight out of a mystery novel. Players appeared and disappeared like ghosts. The puck became a phantom. Fans strained their eyes to follow the action. It was less of a hockey game and more of a guessing game. Even the broadcasters had a tough time, relying on guesswork as much as observed. This wasn't just a challenge for the players, but an adventure for everyone involved. The fog game, as it came to be known, remains one of the most bizarre and talked about games in NHL history. A perfect blend of sports and the supernatural.
The action becomes a surrealistic, dreamlike ballet.
From foggy confusion to a bat out of, well, a hockey game. This next moment is more Dracula than Slapshot. In a scene that could rival any horror movie, the 1975 game between the Buffalo Sabres and the Philadelphia Flyers took a turn for the bizarre when an unexpected visitor swooped in. A real, live bat! Yes, in the middle of an NHL game, a bat decided to join the action, fluttering above the players who were more accustomed to pucks than winged mammals. The players, momentarily forgetting about hockey, turned into impromptu bat catchers. It was Ricky Dudley of the Sabres who finally took matters into his own hands. Literally, with a swift, almost ninja-like move, he knocked the bat out of the air, bringing an end to its brief but memorable NHL career. The crowd, initially startled, erupted into cheers and laughter. This wasn't just a break in play. It was a wildlife encounter on ice. The bat incident, as it came to be known, added a touch of the surreal to the game. A story that's as much about the unexpected as it is about hockey. Forget bats. How about a water bottle brawl? Domi's penalty box turned splash zone is more entertaining than some reality TV shows. Ty Domi, known more for his fists than his finesse on the ice, gave the NHL one of its most unforgettable and humorous moments. Not with a punch, but with a water bottle. During a game, Domi, sitting in the penalty box, became the target of a heckling fan. In a move that was more water park than hockey rink, Domi decided to squirt water at the heckler. But the story doesn't end there. The fan, not one to be outdone, leaned over the glass, which to everyone's surprise gave way, sending him tumbling into the penalty box. What ensued was a comical scuffle that looked more like a slapstick comedy routine than an NHL game. This wasn't just a minor skirmish, it was a full-blown spectacle.
Watch the lawsuit, Ty. Watch the lawsuit. Oh, boy.
Domi's splash zone is wild, but Hexal's goal-scoring antics as a goalie? Now that's rewriting the rulebook with style. Ron Hexal, the Philadelphia Flyers goaltender, decided to rewrite the rulebook on what goalies can and cannot do. In a move that left everyone's jaws on the floor, Hexal did the unthinkable. He scored a goal. Yes, you heard that right. Not content with just stopping pucks, he launched one the entire length of the ice and into the empty net of the opposing team. This wasn't just a fluke, it was a calculated strike, a moment of audacious brilliance. Hexal became one of the few goaltenders in NHL history to score a goal, turning the tables in the most dramatic fashion. The arena erupted, fans cheered, and commentators lost their minds. This was more than just a goal, it was a moment of hockey history. A blend of skill, audacity, and a touch of madness.
Good handle, looks to clear it himself, he does, going for the empty goal, it's going in, good, scores!
A goalie scoring goals is one thing, but Sean Avery's rule-making antics? It's like watching a hockey game turn into a Broadway show. Sean Avery, a name that often stirred controversy in the NHL, took it to a new level during a game against the New Jersey Devils. Known for his ability to get under his opponent's skin, Avery introduced a new tactic that was as bizarre as it was effective. Instead of focusing on the puck, he turned his back to the play and started waving his hands and stick in front of Devils goalie Martin Brodeur's face. This wasn't just trash talk, it was a full-blown performance. A one-man show designed to distract and disorient. The hockey world watched in a mix of amusement and disbelief. Was this even legal? Well, it was, but not for long. The NHL quickly stepped in and created what's now known as the Sean Avery Rule, specifically outlawing this kind of behavior. Avery's antics didn't just push the boundaries of sportsmanship, they rewrote the rulebook.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
Nothing. He looks like he's leading a marching band down the field.
From Broadway on ice to a marathon that redefines overtime, this game was longer than some relationships. The Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins embarked on what can only be described as a hockey odyssey during the 2000 Stanley Cup playoffs. Their game stretched into 5 overtimes, making it the longest game in modern NHL history. As the hours ticked by, players and fans alike entered a state of delirious exhaustion. It was less of a game and more of an endurance test, a battle of wills on the ice. Players were running on fumes, fans were napping in their seats, and the commentators were rummaging through the thesaurus for new ways to still say no goal. When Keith Primo finally scored the game-winning goal for the Flyers, it was as if he didn't just score against the Penguins but against Father Time himself. The game, which began on one day and ended on the next, turned into a legendary tale of stamina, determination, and sheer willpower. It was a night that redefined the meaning of overtime in the NHL. Endless overtime is one thing, but the Richard Riot? It's more than a game. It's a cultural revolution on skates. It all began with Maurice Rocket Richard, a beloved figure for the Montreal Canadiens and a symbol of French-Canadian pride. When Richard was suspended for the remainder of the 1954-55 season after an altercation with a lineman, it was more than just a disciplinary action. It was a spark that ignited passions of a community. Fans saw the suspension as an unfair attack, not just on Richard, but on their identity and pride. The result? A riot that spilled from the stands onto the streets of Montreal. The game against the Detroit Red Wings was overshadowed by a wave of anger and frustration that swept through the city. Storefronts were smashed, cars were overturned, and the police were called in to restore order. From cultural revolutions to a life-saving moment on ice, Malarchuk's story turns the rink into an ER drama. The incident involving Clint Malarchuk, the goaltender for the Buffalo Sabres, is one of the most heart-stopping moments in NHL history. In a game against the St. Louis Blues in 1989, a collision near the goal crease led to one of the player's skates accidentally slicing Malarchuk's neck. The injury was as serious as it was terrifying, with blood spurting onto the ice, creating a scene more akin to a horror movie than a hockey game. Spectators, players, and even seasoned commentators were left in shock. The quick response of the medical team, particularly the team's athletic trainer, who was a former Army medic, saved Malarchuk's life. This incident, while deeply unsettling, highlighted the risks and dangers associated with the sport. It also showcased the incredible bravery and quick thinking of those off the ice. Malarchuk's recovery and return to the ice was nothing short of miraculous, turning a moment of horror into a moment of resilience and courage. And from ER drama to a feel-good Hollywood script, Ayers' Zamboni to goalie story is the underdog tale we all need. Well, in an extraordinary turn of events, Ayers, who was the emergency goaltender for the Carolina Hurricanes, found himself called into action against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Picture a regular guy, more accustomed to driving the ice resurfacer than facing high-speed pucks, suddenly thrust into the spotlight of a professional game. Ayers didn't just show up, he shone. Despite letting in 2 goals, he saved 8 shots, leading the Hurricanes to a 6-3 victory. The crowd, initially bewildered, soon erupted in cheers for this unlikely hero. Ayers' story wasn't just a feel-good moment, it was a Hollywood script come to life. From Zamboni driver to NHL star, his tale is a reminder that sometimes the most incredible stories aren't written by scriptwriters, but by life itself. And that's it. Have you ever witnessed a moment in sports that left you speechless? Share your most unforgettable sports memory in the comments, and let's see if it can rival these wild NHL stories.